It is April 2026, and the skies over the Middle East are the focal point of the ongoing conflict between the United States and Iran. From Washington, the message was absolute. President Donald Trump and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth repeatedly assured the public that American forces had completely dismantled Iran's anti-aircraft systems. They claimed the U.S. military held undisputed, unchallenged control of the airspace. Then, Iranian state media broadcasted a very different reality. They aired footage of a modern military aircraft plummeting toward the desert, accompanied by claims that they had successfully shot down 2 American jets. Independent verification by BBC experts confirmed the unthinkable. The scattered wreckage shown on social media did indeed belong to an American F-15E Strike Eagle. A single piece of physical evidence tore through the administration's carefully constructed narrative. The promise of a perfectly controlled, entirely risk-free bombing campaign vanished with that falling jet. Downed aircraft immediately shift the crisis from the sky to the dirt. The moment that jet hit the ground, a strategic problem became an immediate, desperate human emergency. The military instantly triggers a Combat Search and Rescue, or CSAR, mission. These are deeply hazardous operations, where specialized extraction teams fly helicopters low, skimming the terrain to evade radar, which puts them directly in the crosshairs of enemy ground fire. Former U.S. General James Slife describes this as a high-risk mission where time is the enemy. Every minute a team spends hovering near the crash site deep inside hostile territory multiplies the lethal danger they face. Beyond the immediate physical danger, there is a massive strategic threat. As the Iranian military reaches the missing crew member first, a live American pilot instantly becomes a highly valuable hostage and a potent propaganda tool. The administration's clinical air campaign has transitioned into a desperate race to recover the crew before they can be captured. So, how exactly does the world's most advanced, well-equipped Air Force lose a manned jet in airspace they supposedly cleared? To answer that, we have to look at the strictly mathematical reality of war. Retired Lieutenant General David Deptula offers a historical military perspective on the event. His core argument is that losing a single fighter jet after 4 straight weeks of intense combat operations in a highly defended area is actually an incredibly low rate of attrition. This chart compares current aircraft losses with a historical baseline, Operation Desert Storm in 1990. During those 43 days, coalition forces lost an average of 1 aircraft daily. By comparison, losing just 1 jet over 4 weeks makes the 2026 airspace statistically safe. From a purely logistical standpoint, the U.S. military has not failed. The numbers show they retain an overwhelming, dominant control of the skies over the region. But as analysts at CNN and NBC quickly pointed out, raw statistics ignore the reality of asymmetric warfare. This is a type of conflict where a smaller, outgunned opponent doesn't need to win every battle. They just need to land a few highly visible blows. The primary stated objective of the U.S. and Israeli campaign was to entirely eliminate Iran's complex network of missile defense systems. The downed F-15E proves that despite heavy bombardment, Iran successfully concealed its mobile radar units and anti-aircraft batteries, keeping their retaliatory strike capabilities intact. In an asymmetric environment, controlling the sky means you can fly wherever you want. It does not mean the airspace is completely sterile or risk-free. Massive statistical superiority offers little comfort if an outmatched enemy can still manage to strike a target exactly when it causes the maximum amount of political damage. That damage is already landing in Washington. A singular military loss, thousands of miles away, has immediately been weaponized in domestic politics. The timing directly contradicted the president's own messaging. Just days prior, President Trump publicly declared that the conflict was rapidly winding down and near its end. This comes at a precarious moment. The American public has shown growing fatigue, increasingly rejecting both the financial burden and the human risk required to sustain this war. Reports from The Washington Post and ABC News highlight how quickly the administration's political shield has cracked. The promise of invulnerability was broken. Because they set the expectation of a flawless, zero-casualty operation, the White House is now facing fierce backlash from anti-war critics and even skepticism from their own core supporters. The multi-million-dollar loss of the airframe is only the beginning of the fallout. By promising a war without risk, the administration has created a political environment where a single downed jet has derailed their timeline for victory.